All right, so the Trump administration is targeting millions over the next few years for deportation under new rules. So let's take a look at what changes he's making and some roadblocks and hurdles that are being thrown in his way. First of all, any immigrant who is in the country illegally and is charged or convicted of any offense or even suspected of a crime will now be an enforcement priority. The Trump administration memos replace more narrow guidance focusing on immigrants who have been convicted of serious crimes or considered threats to national security or are recent border crossers. Compare that to the Obama administration. Immigrants whose only violation was being in the country illegally were left alone. So basically, under the Obama administration, if all you did was cross the border illegally, it's no big deal. We're not really going after you. We're going to go after, all the bad guys, which, it's fair enough, except for the fact that crossing the border illegally is illegal. That's why they call it illegally crossing the border. And yes, it's true, Obama, I heard it was 3 million people. I'm not sure on the exact number, but he deported the most. And he deported them, but then what's the use if coming back in illegally is not penalized or it's not a big deal? So it's kind of setting up a revolving door that really doesn't solve the problem. So next, just as recently as yesterday, Cruz has announced that there's been a 50% decrease in illegals crossing the Texas border already. Now, it's obviously because people know that shit's getting real and there's no revolving door anymore because Obama's not there to swing that puppy open. But things that are kind of working against the new administration is 950,000 illegal immigrants that already have their papers served are still at large. Homan revealed that of the 950,000 aliens with active deportation orders, only 11,000 were in custody of ICE. So obviously, due to limited resources, ICE has been unable to keep up with the demand. So first they had this revolving door at the border and they're totally backlogged. Okay. Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly issued a memorandum that authorized ICE to hire an additional 10,000 enforcement officers just to help. Okay. All right. So in addition to the staffing shortages, immigration experts lay blame on sanctuary cities for allowing the situation to spiral out of control. Why does ICE have to take to the streets to find these people? One reason is because so many criminal aliens have been released by sanctuary policies. If you look at the list of cities where these operations take place, many of them are sanctuaries. ICE has to do these kind of operations when they're prevented from arresting criminal aliens while they're in jail. Okay? In Homan's answers to the Senate Judiciary Committee, he stated that individuals on ICE's non-detained docket with final orders of removal are released under conditions designed to ensure their compliance with their immigration obligations. So, setback after setback. So going back to this part here where he's saying ICE has to do these kind of operations when they are prevented from arresting criminal aliens while they're in jail. So here's a perfect example of that here in Arizona. The sheriff is releasing 400 criminal illegal immigrants every 10 days. Okay, so during a recent 10-day period, more than 400 criminal illegal immigrants were released from the Maricopa County Jail, according to federal law enforcement officials directly involved in the process in Phoenix. Before the new sheriff changed the system, ICE would send a wagon every 12 hours to pick up criminal illegal aliens scheduled to be released from the main jail in Maricopa County. Under the new policy, okay, Maricopa County officials are not giving ICE any notification at all of the release of criminal illegals. Without cooperation from county authorities, federal agents would have to stand at the door to the jail 24 hours a day and guess which prisoner should be deported. We can't stand out there and question everyone that walks out of that jail, said a federal agent directly involved in the matter. Even if we did, we would have to make arrests on the street in the middle of protesters, families, and picketers, and that would only heighten the danger to agents. So, understaffed, okay, they're getting pushback from situations like this where they're not cooperating and they're changing the system and not cooperating with federal agents. They've got sanctuary cities, which are like a safe haven, okay? But the good thing is, they're getting more agents on the job for this. They're also adding beds at county jails to expand deportation machinery, reopening shuttered private prisons, okay? And I get it, it's sad. Families are torn apart. But maybe you should have thought about that, okay, before breaking the law. You're the ones putting your children in these predicaments, your families in these predicaments, when you choose to set up shop illegally in another country, okay? You know the score. Yeah, it's sad after, but these are the consequences of your decisions. So, comparing now Trump to Obama and other countries, we've got here in the fiscal year 2016 alone, Obama ICE kicked out 240,000 aliens, including 136,000 criminal convicts. However, the report says 101,000 aliens removed have no criminal conviction. Now look at Mexico, a nation allegedly victimized by Trump and other gringos. It deported some 173,000 Central Americans in 2015, 70% more than in 2014. Now from Canada, the Toronto Star reported that America's northern neighbor Canada deported 148,000 people between 2004 and 2014, 70% of whom were failed refugee claimants. Okay, no one is illegal. A Canadian pro-immigration group reported that CBSA has nabbed migrants at women's shelters and medical centers. There have been situations where people have been taken right from their hospital beds. They've woken up and there was the border agents beside them. Great Britain, 40,000 people in 2014. Sweden announced in January 2016 that his country would expel nearly half of the 160,000 refugees who poured into Sweden in 2015. Right, so deporting people is not a USA phenomenon. It happens when you set up shop illegally, overstay your visa. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah, sometimes it's sad, but that's the consequences.